Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Darshan McAway. You're tuned in to WowPodcast, and today we have a special guest. I know her by Monique McDowell, but she changed her name to Jasira Monique. Monique, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm curious, the name change. I know it was a branding thing, but what happened? What was that unique moment that changed for you? Like, I need to change this.
Okay, well, it's funny because I have been really thinking about how can I make my name unique and make it stand out. A lot of people know a lot of Moniques, and I was actually seeing a gentleman, and I was having a conversation with his mother and found out that him and his brothers, they all had Swahili names. And so once I found that out, I was like, okay, well, let me look to see if I can find a Swahili name that would fit me. And that's when I found Jasira. And so it just seemed like they went together great, and I loved it. I've been using, I think it was 2012 when I found Jasira, and I've been using Jasira Monique ever since as my pen name and stage name as an author and writer and, a public profile.
I remember roughly about September of 2010, you and I had met up at McDonald's, and we were talking about, I think your book had came out, Bruised Kisses. And that book, to me, at that time, and still to this day, was a phenomenal book because it had like a cadence to it. And before I even finished it, I noticed that you had you had a poem in there called A Drummer's Cadence. And then I go a little further. You had a poem in there called Virginity, and it talked about, an unfortunate event. Then you had another poem titled Daniel. So I was like, wow, she's been like lining things up for the longest. How did Bruised Kisses come about?
So that's, it's so funny because I remember when we actually sat down and talked at the McDonald's in West Palm Beach, and you definitely picked up a lot because I used to be a percussionist at Suncoast, and so definitely a drummer's cadence is definitely an ode to drummers. And then also with the poetry and Bruised Kisses, it's a combination of a lot of different things in my life. Some of those poems I actually wrote while I was a student at Howard, and I pulled some of those poems in. And then many of them I actually wrote, quite a few in Kansas. And it's like half and half. And it was about 2008 when I had left my previous job with Payless out in Topeka, Kansas, and I was in a very creative space. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to put together a book, and I want to start out with poetry just to see how this works, see how publishing and everything works. And I had spoke with quite a few authors and tried to, see what types of tips and information I could get. And so with Bruised Kisses, it was my first test with publishing and really a look into a lot of my experiences in life, whether it was relationships. It was, a lot of it was from my divorce with my ex-husband and the experiences there and dealing with the abusive relationship. And then also some were just reflective pieces of, when I was writing while a student at Howard. So a lot of it's about a journey as a young woman and the different experiences that we have as visionaries, and also when we're trying to navigate love and navigate peace and all of that.
You have two other books. You have roughly 3 books total. You have Bruised Kisses, Woman on the Move, and a collaborative book, When a Woman's Fed Up. Tell me a little bit more about Woman on the Move, because I noticed that you're making a lot of movement on the internet, and I'm trying to find out, is this book contributing to that?
With you seeing the journey, you've actually seen, Woman on the Move go from, it was a poem that I wrote when I was living in Kansas, when I went back to Kansas, and it was a poem that was a very bold piece. It was like really talking about this woman who was very unapologetic about her life, her love for traveling, her love for achieving her dreams, and really just being very matter of fact about who she was and taking pride in what she does. And so with that, the collection of poetry, it just made sense for it to all fall under the name of Woman on the Move because it was a very bold book. And so Jasira is actually Swahili for bold and courageous. And so Woman on the Move was another play on that of with this new name, this new transition, and wanting to completely separate myself from the woman that I was in Bruised Kisses to the woman that I've evolved to in Woman on the Move. And so I actually wrote a majority of the poems between like 2010 and 2012, and I decided when I did the book launch I wanted to do a short stage play production. And so with that, I wanted to do something that was very different, very unexpected. And so now as you see Woman on the Move evolve, it's become from a book to now it's a network of women. And I had actually a gentleman, he poured into my spirit, and he was like, listen, you know, you have a lot of different things going on, but I think you're sleeping on Woman on the Move. He was like, you know, that is going to be a multi-million-dollar empire one day, and you need to go ahead and brand it and treat it that way. And so over the past 2 years, I've really refocused my energy to building Woman on the Move and to keep the attention around those bold, unapologetic women. And I have live events that it all comes back to that book. And that's what it's so funny because a lot of people who are coming into my network now, they don't really know much about the book and how it got started. They know more about the network. And so I'm working hard to bring those two together so that people can understand how the journey began.
What about the book, When a Woman's Fed Up, that collaborative book?
Yeah, so When a Woman's Fed Up, it's so funny because, you know, with social media, you can get an opportunity to network and connect with so many different types of women from all over the world. And When a Woman's Fed Up was actually, it came from a young lady named Jessica Mosley. She's actually out in Indianapolis, and she is phenomenal. She does a lot of great things, and she actually has a Miss CEO project right now. But during the month of October last year, she wanted to really bring together a collaborative book of trailblazers in their own right and really just showcase these women who have all been survivors of domestic violence and how it's not about per se being the victim. It's about overcoming that situation and taking the stigma away from it and then showing what you can do once you remove yourself out of an abusive relationship. So it's a project that I'm very proud of, and I definitely love the message. I love a lot of the women. I actually traveled there for the book launch, and I absolutely loved all of the women that were featured in the book. So it's an amazing experience, and I definitely do have copies of that book available on my website as well.
So tell me a little bit more about the things that your son is up to. I know he has an app. Explain that to me a little bit more.
Okay, so my son Daniel, for those who aren't familiar with Young Kings, Daniel is 13 years old, and when he was about 8 years old, I really started looking at his personality and different things that he was interested in. I said, okay, we're going to work together to find something for him to do that really is around what he loves. And so I identified it very quickly that he loves technology, and with mobile apps is the way it goes. So we start thinking of Young Kings. And so Young Kings is a mobile app. It's a Black male youth empowerment app. And also he has an apparel line that started with a T-shirt. So we have black and gold, and Young Kings is gold emblem on black. And then the mobile app has lots of different features. So what he loves as far as like origami, do-it-yourself videos on drawing. We also have different types of coding games that are in there with the students for the kids that want to go in there and learn how to code. We have travel information and books. We have different books by Black authors that are featured within the app, and also music, motivational speeches. There's a lot of different fun, creative things in there, but it's just a source of empowerment because, you know, what we've been seeing in the community and what Daniel wants to do is he wants to be a resource and be a solution for the issue that we see with youth, and just creating something powerful and empowering for them to have, in their hands. So everybody has a cell phone, and so right now the Young Kings app is on the Google Play Store, and we're working on getting it on the Apple Store as well. But and we also, one thing that he started doing last year, we definitely want to pick back up this year, is he started his You Are King seminar. So it's basically where he gets about 5 entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs together and kids together, and they have a little, a little conversation about their lives and sit down and talk with the kids and really help connect the kids with mentors.
I like that. I like that a lot, and he's definitely on his way. So tell everyone where they can purchase your books and where they can follow you on social media and any upcoming events you have going on.
Absolutely. Well, you can find me on anywhere at Jasira Monique, and that's JASIRA MONIQUE. So on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then also you can find Woman on the Move, the network. You can find that at Woman on the Move group on Facebook and on Instagram, and then on Twitter it's Woman on the Move _. You can find information about me on my website, and that's www.jasiramonique.com. That has my books. It has events, upcoming events. We have right now in West Palm Beach, we have an event coming up on Sunday, October 21st. It's the Living Your Best Life event. What I like to do is put together local trailblazers and bring together a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs and local leaders within the community, and have the women sit down and just have a mastermind panel of what they've been doing and how they can really help other women. Woman on the Move is all about sharing and collaborating. So wherever you see us, we're always trying to share information and make sure that the women who are in the audience can receive whatever tips or information they need to achieve a goal, whether it's traveling, whether it's writing a book or modeling or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure we have someone that we can connect you with to help you achieve your goals. So again, JasiraMonique.com or at Woman on the Move, and definitely Young Kings is at Create Young Kings on Instagram. Follow him. I'm so excited and so proud of my son, and I definitely want to connect him with more visionaries who can really bring more attention to the Young Kings app.
We're talking to Jasira Monique. She's the author of Bruised Kisses, Woman on the Move, and a collaborative book, When a Woman's Fed Up. I want to thank you so much for doing my podcast. It is an honor and a pleasure to talk to a profound author such as yourself. I really appreciate you for your time.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited with what you're doing and all of the visionaries that you are connecting your audience with. So thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.